Nothing I've done on this channel would be possible without the support of my viewers, and particularly those of my patrons. If you'd like to help support me so that I can continue making videos, consider doing so through a YouTube membership or on Patreon, where you'll get early access to my videos, access to exclusive Patreon-only videos that will never be released on my main channel, and other perks. Thank you for any support you may be able to give, and I hope you enjoy the video. Breadtube has an originality problem. Okay, that's not exactly right. Breadtubers make plenty of great original content, actually. The problem is that many of the most popular videos, the ones that almost always seem to go the most viral, are almost always more or less the exact same type of video that has been made countless times over. Specifically the ones criticizing certain right-wing personalities, so Jordan Peterson videos, Ben Shapiro videos, Steven Crowder videos, Tucker Carlson videos, Elon Musk videos, you get the idea. Just as an example, let's look at the videos by the YouTuber Big Joel. As you can see, 3 of the 4 biggest videos just from this screenshot are about Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and PragerU. Here's a more exaggerated sample. Only one video of the 14 others in this screenshot are more than 1/4 of the size of the Jordan Peterson video, and that video is about Elon Musk. What's the problem with this exactly, you might be asking? Isn't it important to respond to these people since they're the biggest and most influential voices in the conservative sphere? Sure, there is some responsibility, but the problem is that they have already been responded to time and time again. At this point, these videos are like the Marvel movies of Breadtube. Maybe not bad per se, maybe they have effort and heart put into them to some extent, but they're still just at this point played out and repetitive and mostly unoriginal, and yet at the same time they get a bigger audience than anything else. The YouTuber FT Signifier talks about this phenomenon with his Cop City video, which was advocating for actionable activism in the real world to fight against something that really mattered fighting against. And the video relatively flopped hard. How bad? Well, just look at his previous 11 videos in comparison. This isn't at all to say that these other videos don't also have great value. It's just that most videos that stray even a bit from the norm never do as well. And the more they stray from the norm, the more they talk about things that are not in vogue, so to speak, things that are not what is fashionable at the time and moment to talk about, the less likely they are to be successful at all, even if it's about an important topic that needs addressing. Responding to reactionaries was something that really did need addressing back in the mid-2010s when people like H. Bomber Guy were dunking on these losers. But these days, the market is incredibly oversaturated with these debunks. I mean, the amount of YouTubers that made Andrew Tate videos at his height was insane. You could not go a minute without seeing another video about the guy. But how many underage boys are watching Breadtube videos of somebody talking about Andrew Tate? I would argue that for many, even if the intentions were to convert people who are fans of Andrew Tate, the effect was more just to bring people who already didn't like Andrew Tate to just laugh at him. Often the sheer volume of pushback doesn't feel like anything more than for the point of getting as many views and subscribers as possible. And you know what those mean at a fundamental level? Money. 500,000 views on a video, which is not as hard as it sounds when it comes to making fun of the likes of Andrew Tate or Ben Shapiro or Elon Musk, the latest time they go viral saying some stupid shit, equates to, very roughly, about $1,500 for the creator. That is around a month's rent and change in many places. There is an extreme incentive to provide this content because it is what the algorithm promotes. Of course, and this is another problem with Breadtube, for me, the audience interest is what in many ways drives the algorithm at the same time. One of the reasons these videos are so popular, and I'm not saying you can't be a genuine leftist and not enjoy these channels, but for some I feel like these videos satisfy this need for the viewer to feel aesthetically leftist, that it makes people feel left-wing to watch YouTubers take down fascist weirdos.
What's probably going to be hard to swallow for some Breadtube fans is that many of us are in practice apolitical and mostly experience and do politics through our consumption habits. As I said earlier, the vast majority of at least online leftists, especially in the West, did not come through organized resistance within oppressed and marginalized communities. They got it from a sociology or political science course in college. The vast majority of online leftists are not the working class proletariat. They are children of the bourgeoisie. The vast majority of the online left have never organized, protested, threw a rock, or cut a check in the name of resistance. The strongest analysis on safe and easily commodified topics in your favorite video essay does not challenge the superstructure that affects us in the way we want to think it does. I love me some Jordan Peterson cringe videos. I am looking forward to the next one, but I watch those understanding that as entertainment, and I don't know if everyone in the Breadtube atmosphere realizes this.
Being anti-fascist is a baseline. That's not impressive. That is not something to be proud of alone, and it doesn't make you a leftist at all. And if you really call yourself anti-fascist and you're not anti-capitalist, you're not really even all that anti-fascist in the first place. But that's a conversation for another time. In the end, I just really find it hard to differentiate the politics of many of these Breadtube channels from your average liberal themselves. Vosh, for example, who calls himself a socialist, spends all day on Twitter posting about the incredibly obvious fact that the Republicans are fascists, like it's some incredible revelation, and getting thousands of likes from people who think he's some political genius for pointing these things out. But what is actually leftist about that? That is something that plenty of liberals also do. Of course, it simply takes a brief scroll through Vosh's main channel's video feed to see just how unsocialist the guy's content is, how incredibly rarely he takes a break from doing easy dunks on crazy right-wingers to actually talk about anything of substance, to ever even criticize Democrats other than the rare jab at Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin for anything, which is again something that plenty of liberals also do. It's not an accident that some of the biggest political news of the past few months, the breaking of the rail workers' rail strike by Joe Biden, has not led to a single video posted to Vosh's main channel. He has posted to his second channel, Vosh Pit, about it and criticized Biden, sure, but the question remains as to how this was not newsworthy enough to post to his main channel when the endless videos about Shapiro and Elon Musk or various stupid online dramas are. The answer is that it obviously is. It was very big news. Of course, when you see that the majority of his audience is directly related to his promotion of Biden and other Democrats each election year from around July to December, this makes a lot more sense. Let's be honest, he is scared about losing subscribers. It is very obvious that people like him do not care about leftism if it's going to hurt his bottom line. It's pretty unforgivable for someone as big as Vosh, who pretty much already has enough money to live the rest of his life very comfortably, to behave in this way. But while Vosh is a particularly egregious example of this phenomenon, he's far from the only one. I've seen the exact same situation with all of Vosh's streamer friends, people like Keffels, Xanderhall, Shark30, Demon Mama, and Conyer, all of whom also identify as leftists or socialists of one type or another. For each of their channels, I looked up keywords relating to two specific topics. Specifically, Biden crushing the rail strike a few months ago, and the Stop Cop City movement, two of the most important leftist news topics of the past few months. Not one of the 5 streamers have a video about Stop Cop City, nor has a single video been released from any of them about Biden crushing the rail strike on their main channels, with Shark, Conyer, Keffels, and Demon Mama never even so much as mentioning a rail strike on their main channels at all. Xanderhall was the only person to even mention that there was a rail strike, and that video got less views than any of the videos he's released since or in the previous 7 months. Which is where I just gave up even trying to find a video that had less views. It's blatantly clear how uncaring about real-world leftist action this guy's audience is. If there's any better indicator of how unserious so much of Breadtube, and specifically the streamer sphere of Breadtube is, it's this. The simple fact that their audiences are built off of drama and liberalism rather than actual leftist, socialist political activism. So of course, these types of videos don't get any engagement when they even try to release them, and therefore, to people like these who care more about clicks than anything, there's no incentive to make the videos that don't get clicks. Post facto, I also did the same thing for the word Yemen. Shark, Demon Mama, and Xanderhall all love to talk about Ukraine all the time, so I figured as true leftist, socialist, anti-imperialists, They would not only be pointing out the horror of the Ukraine war, but also pointing out how America is supporting and arming the Saudi Arabian government, which is facilitating the worst humanitarian crisis of the 21st century in Yemen. But no, none of their channels had a single video about Yemen either. Vosh may be the single most significant and fervent supporter of NATO's support of the war in Ukraine on all of Breadtube, has never done a video on his main or second channel about the American-funded humanitarian crisis in Yemen either. Because this really started to amuse and frankly kind of shock me, I kept going. I looked for any mention of Biden opening up drilling in the Alaskan wilderness. Nothing. Not from Vosh, not from any of them, including the addition of Lonerbox and Dylan Burns, two more members of the so-called leftist streamer sphere. I looked at Lonerbox on Yemen as well, given that Lonerbox is another very big supporter of the American side in the war in Ukraine. Nothing. What about Dylan Burns, who has made like over 100 videos about Ukraine? I think he made a single video about Yemen. Or so I thought. I know I'd seen him make a video about China negotiating peace in Yemen, but I can't find it. I think he just deleted it. I then looked up all of these topics when it comes to the serfs, another major member of the online so-called leftist streamer sphere. Same exact thing. The almost complete radio silence from these people on Stop Cop City, not to mention just mentioning the rail strike's existence at all on their channels, is particularly mystifying because it doesn't even make Biden look bad at all to at least mention either of those things. That's because it's not just that they won't talk about leftist topics or it might hurt their income by alienating the more right-leaning or centrist parts of their audience. They just don't talk about this stuff regardless of whether or not it might alienate some of their audience, because they don't care in the first place at all, period. And of course the irony is that these are the same kinds of people that love to make fun of leftists who only care about America doing bad things and don't actually point out the crimes that other people do. These people are incredible hypocrites because they don't ever point out the crimes that America does at all. Or if they do, it's only to make a dig at Republicans in order to make the Democrats look better. You know, it's almost like they're not leftists, and they're just liberals. The paradox, of course, is that as a new or growing content creator, you want to grow more, you want subscribers, you want views, so you can make a living and spread your ideas. So you're also tempted to fall prey to the content farm of these right-wing idiots to gain subscribers. If you do that, though, you're just adding to an already bloated sphere of content that doesn't need more people talking about this stuff, yet rewards it anyway because that's how the algorithm works. The main solutions, in my opinion, to these issues with Breadtube are twofold. Firstly, for the Breadtube creators, especially the ones that already have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and a very stable income, recognize the immense potential power your platforms can have to do good and utilize them in ways that go beyond simply making fun of Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson, which are simply not in any way actually leftist political acts. Like FT Signifier did, be willing to spend time and effort on videos calling for real-life political action, even if you know that these videos might not make as much money or get as much attention as they normally do. Secondly, for the consumers, stop simply being satisfied to call yourself a leftist if the only thing you do is consume liberal or even leftist agitprop, if you have the time and resources to do more, and yet you're not doing more through either creating leftist agitprop yourself or doing leftist actions in the real world, or at the very least helping fund the people that do leftist actions or create leftist agitprop. For me, I'm an introverted, bookish kind of guy, so making these kinds of videos are where I feel my strengths lie, where I think I thrive. So if you actually also want to contribute, find out where your skills lie, where your interests lie, and contribute. In the meantime, when it comes to making enough of a living on YouTube to make it viable in the long term, FT Signifier again has talked about what I think is a pretty decent system. One video for the algorithm, one for the fans, and one for himself. It's a shame I can't do all three for every video, but I'll still make do with what I can. Thanks for watching. If you want to support a channel that wants to make principled, quality content, rather than just trying to game the algorithm or in other ways pander for views, supporting me on Patreon so that I don't have to worry about getting money from views would be a huge help. Thanks also to my current patrons,